Hey y'all! So today I'm going to talk about my trip to Disneyland. I'm sure most of people who grew up with Disney have either gone to Disneyland or wanted to go to Disneyland at some point. And I was pretty much a Disney girl growing up, so I always wanted to go to Disneyland, and I never got the chance when I was young. And I started working, and then it got to a point where, well, I was still in my 20s, but it got to a point where am I too old to go to Disneyland? And I kept thinking, okay, maybe I'm too old now. Maybe I should have gone when I was younger. But I was like, okay, 20s is the new teens. So I just decided, it was right after COVID, I think it was 2022. So I decided, okay, this is the chance that I have to start doing stuff. Not because I'm getting older, but because I just wanted to. Anyway, I decided it was a leap of fun and joy, and I had the best time ever. I'm gonna add some photos. It was probably spring of 2022, and one of my close friends got me a present even right before I got on the flight. So I had to fly from Detroit to Florida. I went to the Florida Disneyland, the Orlando one. She got me like a Mickey Mouse charm that you would put on your Pandora bracelets, but at that time I didn't have my bracelet with me when I was going on the flight. So I decided I put it on my chain. This one's also from her. Um, Look how cute that is. Like, anyway, so she got me a similar um, Mickey Mouse charm from Pandora, um, and it was already starting to be a great trip. It was already magical. Like, here I am getting onto the flight, and I have a teeny tiny travel present. Like, are you kidding me? Um, and so, yeah, I decided I'd wear it on my necklace, kind of like this. Anyway, and I turn around and look at all these people in the row in front of me, like the very immediate row in front of me. Everyone had their Disney t-shirts. Like, it was packed, like the whole six people right in front of me, they had t-shirts from like grandpa, grandma, mom, dad, and it was again starting to look more and more magical because, come on, Disney is magical. So I look left and right, and everyone's pretty much having their Disney t-shirts, and I was starting to think maybe I should have bought a Disney t-shirt too. But anyway, it was too late. It was already in the plane, and we are heading to Orlando, Florida, and it was already looking like a vacation, a magical vacation, to say the least. Now, if you've ever been to Disneyland, you already know, but if you have not, I'm gonna give a few things that you might need to know, like transportation. My main trip to Florida at this time was just Disneyland and just the Magic Kingdom. I wasn't planning to go to any other parks. I wasn't planning to go to any other place in Florida or Orlando. I've been to Universal Studios way ahead, so that wasn't even on my list. I decided, okay, if I'm just gonna go to Florida, anytime I travel, typically I would rent a car in the place that I'm going to. So if I were to fly, I would just simply rent a car at the airport. And since I was just gonna go to just one place, Magic Kingdom, which is inside the Disney, and Disney has amazing resorts, I simply booked a Disney resort. There's no brainer there. You get the amazing features of Disney World because everything in Disneyland is like a mini city in and of itself. Like, as soon as you get into Florida, you go to Orlando, you head into the area that's all the Disney parks, where the Disney parks are at. Immediately, like starting from the signboards, everything is colorful. Everything is Disney palette, if that makes sense. So every single place that you might want to go to, they have their own transportation, right from airport. But keep in mind, this was back in 2022, and that was right after COVID. For some reason, at that point, they did not have transportation. They didn't have a shuttle from the airport to the resorts or to the park. I haven't checked back since then. They might have started running the bus shuttle from the airport to the parks itself, but that was the one thing that was missing at that time. So I just booked a private bus shuttle, and well, pretty much everyone on the flight were standing there in the line with me. So I wasn't like lost or anything. It's very difficult to get lost in Orlando if you're going to Disneyland. Pretty much certain that half the flight was going to Disneyland. So I was there for the bus shuttle as soon as I got off at Orlando, and we got on the bus, hopped on, hopped off. Right there, you were in the resort. Like, they ask you which resort you want to go to if you're going to the Disney resort, so no trouble there at all. And once you're in the resort, everything is keyless. And if anyone has been to Disneyland, you will already know. But if someone is new and is planning to go, so you get like a band, kind of like a watch band, with you can choose different designs for that, but you get like a watch band, and that's pretty much like a keyless entry for the Disney parks. Like, your tickets, everything gets through that tag. If you have a phone and you have like an NFC option on your phone, like pretty much all your Google Wallet, Apple Wallet, all that, you're covered. Like, you don't need to get that. But if you want to get it, it's really cool. You have like a Mickey Mouse bracelet, so to speak. And you just like tap and go. If you want to buy something, you just tap it, and everything will like add on to that card. For your room, it adds on. You just tap that. So there's no key card entry for the room. It's just the RFID, the NFC, if you have your phone. So there's that. So there's, again, no hassle there. I go to my room, and this was, I think, the 90s pop resort something. And as soon as you go there, there's all these amazing characters, like 30-foot Mickey Mouse statue that was there. And again, that was another light bulb moment for me. Like, I'm here. I'm like screaming on the inside. I'm gonna add the photo here, like you can see, but you wouldn't tell by looking at the photo that I was actually screaming inside because of how magical it looked. Like, it was, I think it was definitely like a 30-foot Mickey Mouse holding like this retro 90s phone. You can imagine the magic in there. You cannot deny that. So that's how my day starts. Like, I haven't even been to the park yet. I'm still just heading to the resort. I'm just heading to my room, and I'm trying to have a nice dinner and like wind down for the night. So I go to the cafeteria there, and again, there's rows and rows of merch, Disney merch. As a Disney girly, like, I'm obsessed with all the Disney stuff. Like, I have a ton of like journal stuff from Disney. I have like, all these are stickers, by the way. So you can imagine my joy. It was more than joy at that point. It was, I think, elation. Looking at rows and rows of merch and toys, and more merch and pins and everything, pretty much that you can imagine, at the resort. I haven't even been to the park yet. This was at the resort. So I try to like nail it down to at least one or two things for that night before I wind down, because I know that there's going to be a lot more at the park. And there's also Disney Springs, which I'll cover later in the video. Disney Springs is a must to go place if you are in the region. So I was trying to like wind down for the night anyway, and so I tried to like buy a few pins and um, stuffed toys, and I had my dinner, and I was like, okay, I need to go rest. It's gonna be a lot of walking the next day, and I was sure about that. So that was my like first night at Disney. Like it was amazing. Just getting there was great. All right, so now we're gonna talk about my second day of this whole trip, and this was actually gonna be my first day stepping into the Magic Kingdom. And I've done my research, and it turns out if you happen to stay at the resort, you can go into the parks about 30 minutes prior to the normal opening time. So I think the park opening time was 9 a.m., but if you happen to stay at one of the Disney resorts, you can go in at 8:30, and I think that's the best way to start because everyone's going to be rushing in at 9 o'clock in the morning, and you kind of like avoid that general crowd. But it doesn't matter too much, but because as soon as you go in, there's gonna be still people. There's always gonna be people in the Disney park, so it doesn't matter too much. But if you're someone who would like to go in early and avoid some of the lines there, 8:30 would be best. And they start a show at the castle at like 9 o'clock, so it's also great to get like the front row. Just tap in using either your phone or your watch that has the Disney RFID tag in there, and you just walk right into the park. It's that easy. As soon as you get in, if you want to watch the show with no disturbance, just keep going to the castle. But if you want to also like go on one of the rides that you really want, just go ahead and get in the line at that time. But me, I kind of did everything. I went straight to the shops, and then I went straight to the morning show, which was at like 9 o'clock. And boy, was it magical. It was beautiful. And we don't talk enough about fireworks during daytime. They had fireworks in daytime, and I might add that it was amazing. On my first day and the Magic Kingdom, I decided to upcycle an old outfit. I paired a white tee, which had florals in it, along with a blue skirt, which technically had all the elements of London, like the clock cover on it, but well, it paired up nicely. Kind of like a Marable from Encanto outfit. And I did almost everything that I could do on the very first day. I did a lot of rides. I went on the carousel, couldn't lift the sword from the stone. I did like the tiki lounge. It everything was like so magical, and I don't remember actually having a ton of food in the park, even though they had a lot of food. I remember having some cupcakes. The food is amazing. Just even like a look at them visually, it's so pleasing, and every little bit in the park is magical. Now, there was an unfortunate thing that uh, back in 2022, at least at the time, the spring of 2022, we couldn't um, interact much with the characters because it was still like coming from COVID. And they lifted that ban, I think, at the summer or the fall of the same year. So I was kind of bummed at that. But anyway, I did see a lot and lot of the characters, and they were all amazing. Like, it's the main magic of Disney. Like, they never break their character, they are always true in their form. Everything from the food to the rides and everyone treating you at the shop or like pretty much anywhere. Like it's magic all around, and everyone is so professional, and they try to keep it to a point where everyone's taken care of. Like it doesn't matter if you are a kid or an older person, everyone's taken care of. And speaking about older person, I thought I was probably gonna be the older person there, except for people like grandmas and grandpas tagging along with their grandchildren. But no, was I wrong? Oh boy. I met so many people at the park who also happened to be like me, like they had come on their own, and there were also a lot of older couples who had turned Disney into one of their traditions. So I've talked to a few couple who are probably like in their 60s, and they said they've been coming there for like 40 years, 50 years. Go figure. And I was like, oh wow, yeah, I can see why, because the magic is there and it's so mystical and you want to go back to that. So yeah, it was a lot for a first day. And this whole thing that I talked about was just in the first half of the first day. I was so tired, and I had a game plan. That's why I booked a room at the resort so that I could take the shuttle back to the resort, take a nap, and then head back into the park in the evening because I don't want to miss the fireworks. So that's what I did. I went back to the resort, had my lunch, took a nap, and then I headed back into the park for the evening. Um, just in time for the fireworks. I probably did one or two rides before that, but I was there for the fireworks and it was beyond what I could imagine. It was amazing. It was just like watching a movie in person. I was watching an amazing, beautifully choreographed Disney movie, and the dancer was so great. Like it was all the characters. Everyone was so great. And I see Tinkerbell flying. I mean, I know what's going behind, but I see Tinkerbell flying, and my inner child is just like screaming, "Oh my god!" In the highest pitch. And there's lots and lots of fireworks. Super. I must say, if you plan to go watch fireworks, go find a better seat and stay there because boy, were there people standing in some odd spots, like way ahead, like maybe an hour before even the fireworks would begin. Like that show was probably the most famous one in Disney, and I could see why. So that's what I did, and I did run into another Disney fan who wore the actual Marble outfit, and we took a photo, and here it is. It was again, it was the most beautiful night, day and night, and I couldn't believe that I had missed that all those years. The next day, I was also looking forward to Disney because I was planning on doing 2 days in Magic Kingdom because I don't want to miss a thing. I don't want to miss a single ride. I don't want to miss a single character. I don't want to miss a single show. None of that. So I had 2 days at the Magic Kingdom, and I was glad I did 2 days. The next day, repeat. The magic didn't die. I was not used to it. I was still amazed by the parade, by the morning 9 o'clock show, but I was also tired. Now, mind you, I to flew from Detroit to Florida, but I've been living in Toledo for a few years at that point, and I do not handle humid, hot weather by any means. I was tired. I was done. I just wanted to go home at that point. So I did what anyone would do. I went shopping. I went shopping at Disney Springs the day two of the whole thing. Disney Springs is amazing. If you are an adult and heading to Disney World, you must go to Disney Springs. Disney Springs is like the next level of Disney World. Well, if you have Epcot and you have Animal Kingdom and all that stuff, I don't care. But you should go to Disney Springs. I had the best time in Disney Springs because it was where I think adults could shop. Not that there wasn't any shops at Disney, but there was every single shop. It's like an outlet mall um, inside Disney World. So think about all of the handbags, all of the jewelry stores, and there's also like the largest Disney merch shop there, and also a Lego store. I couldn't name enough stores there. I did my fair share of shopping there too. It was like being lost in an arcade because how could you look at all of the stuff within the set amount of time? The next was pretty kind of like a bummer for me because it started raining. Well, it was actually thunderstorms. I just got to the resort and into my room just in time because it was a pretty bad thunderstorm. I took a nap, I rested, I was refreshed, and I was ready to go for the evening show. But the thunderstorms were not done. They just kept going on to a point where everyone that I pretty much talked to at the resort, they said the evening show is likely to be canceled because if there's a thunderstorm, they're not going to have the show for safety reasons. So um, I ended up still like shopping around the resort. There was still a lot to shop for me. I think it was the best shopping trip for me, going to Disney World. And that was it. That was pretty much all that I did in Disney. I ate, I shopped, I was living the Disney life for 2 days, and then it was time to pack. Packing was horrible, but I had to pack and get out there the very next day. I 10 out of 10, 100 out of 10. I couldn't recommend it enough if anyone haven't been to Disney. Not that you're asking for my recommendation, but if you have not been to Disney and you are a Disney person, you should try to go at least once. I wanted to check it off my bucket list, but I ended up having three more places added to my bucket list. I checked off Disney, the Magic Kingdom, and it got added back on. Like I wanted to go back there again. And I also added Epcot and Animal Kingdom because I think Animal Kingdom is where the Avatar um, rides are. So yeah, funny thing about life. You check off one, add two more to the list. Well, anyway, we are at the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed me blabbing about my travel. I hope you enjoyed my tips and um, pointers for Disney if you're looking to go. Always check ahead, look at the schedule, look at the weather. Um, can always be prepared. And right before we sign off, I'm gonna do bloopers, not bloppers. I'm gonna do bloopers right before we sign off. Um, so we think we have everything narrowed down, but I'm a big believer in Murphy's Law. I don't know. I'm just a believer in this phrase, like everything that can go wrong will go wrong, and everything that will go right will go right. And why do I say this? Because I was having a hard time the very first day because I had just spilled my foundation onto my white tee, my beautiful white tee. It was supposed to be Maribel costume, right? And I didn't have a different costume or anything. I packed light. So I was pretty mad that I had spilled foundation onto a white t-shirt. I tried, but it won't budge. It would not budge off the t-shirt. The first half of the day, I probably thought about it, but I eased into the whole thing. Every time one of the kid or one of the parent, they noticed that it was a Mirabelle costume, and none of them noticed about the foundation. I was like, yeah, big deal. Like, no one even cared about it. No one even saw that. It's just me that's looking at this vlog. So that was something. And then the second day, I was so tired. It was hot and humid, and I couldn't walk with all the chafing. But luckily, it also rained, so I didn't feel as bad as I might have if it didn't rain and I was tired. So everything that can go wrong, yeah, will go wrong, but everything that goes right will go right. I think it's just something we have to accept in life. I think it's an amazing way to look at it, and that's my blooper point. If you want to go back and look at that photo, I bet you didn't notice the foundation on the white t-shirt either. So, right, have a nice Disney trip if you're going to Disney, and until next time, toodles!